We're going to recap and talk a little bit about the trends.
I expected the basics that we food, beverage, automotive, household goods, but I was taken aback by not only the size, but the diversity of attendees.
Change is not mandatory. Success is optional. Hey, welcome to the Skillwork Forum, where we focus on industry issues, emerging trends, and just a variety of challenges surrounding skilled trades. And so I'm Brett, and so we're going to throw a little curveball today. I usually have my partner Tim on here with me, who's usually sitting in this seat, doing all this part. But today we have my good friend and our VP of Sales here at Skillwork, Mike Matlock, joining. We're going to recap and talk a little bit about the trends. We were recently, Mike and I attended, hence the reason why he's going to be on here talking about it today. The PAC Expo that was out in Las Vegas at the Convention Center back in September. And, it's for many of you that are probably listening to this show when we talk about these different things, you've probably attended PAC Expo and Process Expo and, a couple of the larger shows. PAC is, I would say, arguably, probably one of the largest shows in the manufacturing space out there. And so I think this year they broke over 32,000 visitors. We exhibited there. We weren't just attending the show. And we were one of, I think, well over 2,500, might even have been higher than that. And so really large show. A show probably to the size where literally, I'm pretty sure we didn't see all 32,000 people, Mike. You don't necessarily, it's in 5 different halls or buildings, really spread out, really large, widely attended. So let's get into it, Mike. It was your first time attending. There was a variety of industries and manufacturers that attended the show. Kind of what all did you see there, or who did we talk to, and who was represented?
Wow, it's a mouthful of a question. Thank you very much. No, I think it's interesting. Obviously, you've been in this industry a long time. I have. I didn't really know what to expect. Kind of had a preconceived notion, but like you said, there were just so many manufacturers and so many attendees, multiple industries. So I look at it, I expected the basics that we have: food, beverage, automotive, household goods, but I was taken aback by not only the size, but the diversity of attendees. We anticipated United States, but then you see a lot of folks from Canada, from Taiwan, from South America, from Germany, all converging on the same place, the same time.
Yeah, no, it is. You're right, Mike. It's, I think by name, I think it's a PAC Expo. You think that it's going to be, and it is to a degree. It's if you're manufacturing something, you have to package it, and so by that, but it's not, it's not a show that's just corrugated boxes and, packaging materials. I mean, there's companies there that have entire bottling, pretty much set up. I mean, the amount of work that goes in for some of these companies and the level of expense, that goes into it. And so people are there, as you indicated, from all over the world looking for solutions to their problem. We were there, Skillwork. By now, most of you know, we do travel staffing for skilled trades, and we recognize that one of the biggest issues, the statistics all show it's the biggest issue that manufacturing leaders continue to point out. We were just doing a previous podcast. I think that number is still well over 70%. And it's their number one issue is finding the talent that they need. Plans. So what we hear in that regards, Mike, obviously that's what we wanted to talk to people about was, what are you looking for? What are your challenges? What trends are we seeing in the types of roles that people are looking for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when you go into that show, you anticipate folks will ask you about what you do. But what I experienced was folks sharing, here was my concern, here was my pain. By nature, again, of what we do, they walk up and they say, oh, PAC Expo, they advertise as saying that they bring manufacturers and users of packaging and process technology together. Well, that's the product. But what we experienced was, here's my process problem, here's my problem. And it wasn't simply mechanics, which is a couple years ago, now it was a higher conversation of, tell me about, can you find electrical mechanics? Tell me, can you find high-end PLC folks? Can you find engineers? That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for simply someone to come in and fix something. Surprisingly, can you help me find somebody? We need to set this facility up. We need to get this facility running. Oh, we also need to maintain this facility. It wasn't just, hey, somebody short-term to fix it. They're experiencing the pain point all across the board. I think most folks weren't there simply to find equipment, which again, you expect it, Packaging Expo, but they were there saying, hey, here's my problem. Here's what I can. Interesting. You mentioned the size of it and what people do. I had an interesting conversation with the Uber driver on the way to the convention, and he said, it's a big conference. I'm actually packaged things. And I thought about it. And I said, every single thing you own came in. He said, well, not my car. I'm like, the thousands of pieces that make this car were packaged and put in somewhere. So manufacturing's continue to grow. I know right now we see a lot of folks, a lot of problems in the world, potential for doom and gloom in a lot of areas. But I think everyone there was optimistic. They're trying to expand. They're trying to grow. They were saying, hey, I've got to build this. I've got to start this. I've got to move this. Help me get to there. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, we were just talking on a previous show about this, and I think it's one thing to listen to an economist say that we're seeing this boom in manufacturing, that we are building new manufacturing plants in America. We're onshoring products that were for years offshored. You get into a variety of reasons. Obviously, you can't take the impacts of the pandemic and what it had in that type of thing. But it's one thing to hear them say. It's another thing to hear. I don't want to say an economists aren't real people, but to see real manufacturers, people that are living this world, that we got to see a whole bunch of them over a 3-day period, who confirmed that yeah, we heard a variety of said, yeah, we're looking to build a plant, we're looking to do this, we're looking to do that, type of thing. So I think the reality that the manufacturing, I know, Mike, you indicated earlier, you're not spending the bulk of your professional career in this space. I have 30 plus years in the manufacturing space. You coming in, I think it continues to be a little bit of unbelievable that this space is so large. We kind of not even take for granted. It's just hard to kind of fully grasp the amount of production that it takes to provide the products, to America and to the world. It's such a massive space.
Yeah, just in the U.S. alone. I mean, I'm sure you shared this before, but there's almost 600,000 manufacturing sites in America. And then when you get on site and you have to see what they do and how they do it, you really take for granted the things you pull off of the shelf. And you take for granted that those things will always be out and that they're always going to be built. And I was reading a study, McKinsey Company had an article that said unfulfilled jobs were a primary reason that 70% of companies fell behind. They're going to fall behind. I mean, and we continue to see this. So when you go to a show like this and you get to see firsthand every sector of every industry and the actual pain point in their face across we can't find people. It used to be just in my short term here. Well, we can't find them because we're in the South, East, we're the West. And now everyone's can't find them. And when we do, they don't have the skill set. I had a VP of production from a large manufacturing facility in Phoenix come up to me and he said, we can't find the talent. And we shifted to just a local staffing agency for local tempers. And that worked for a while now because the skills aren't there. The bodies might be there, but the skills aren't.
It's by far the issue. And, we had an opportunity, Mike, as at the Pack Expo to do a presentation. We had a variety of stages, and so, obviously a lot of companies, to be quite honest, and maybe they'll say this too, they were up there kind of selling themselves or selling their products. And, our goal really wasn't to do that. It was more, as we do on this show, we call it the Skillwork Forum. We kind of want to be thought leaders in this space. We're not, it's a Skillwork commercial, $9.99, call us. And so we did a presentation there, and it kind of tied around, what is the solution? Is this problem solvable? And so, and I think from my perspective, and I want to hear yours, is I believed this 5 years ago. We were heading in a direction where if you needed the talent, you to find a different way than we have traditionally found. Basically put an ad in the paper, push it. And so I felt like for the first time, people were really agreeing. And at our presentation, I saw a room full of people nodding their head when we talked about this new future. Any thoughts in that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Is it solved? That's the conversation we have with everyone that we had at the conference, not only then, but when we our customers in the field. It is solvable, but it's a different solution than looking at, if the road is out on my way to work every day and that road's not getting built again, I got to find a new way. So having the conversation of the augmented workforce, what are we going to do to find the skills? What are we going to do to find the talent? We're going to get them there and keep them there. And again, I wish we could go back to the days of work somewhere for 30 years and get a pension and retire and everyone's happy, but it's just not. Just conversation yesterday, talking to a facility that can't find people and they're finding them from places where facilities shut down, industries have changed, skills are no longer needed, they upskill. So yeah, I think it's absolutely solvable, but that push to get everyone to do sort of a paradigm shift of, okay, how am I going to solve this, has to happen. And it's just a slow evolving process. And it's starting to get there. But now when you get to a place again, like most of them understand that. And they've fully grasped the challenge before. And okay, are we going to adapt and change? And we're just not. So again, it sounds like a Skillwork commercial, and that's what we do, obviously. But we do want to be on the forefront of solving the problem because it's bigger than just is Skillwork a growing company. It's a problem of our industry, of manufacturing, and of our country. And again, the world, because when we have folks coming up to us at the booth from Germany and Italy saying, can you help? Because I can't find workers in Germany. Again, we think it's a local problem. When I talk to a customer in Fargo, North Dakota, they think it's a Fargo. It's not a Fargo problem. It's not a Dallas problem. It's not a Boston problem. It's not in Germany.
The talent shortage. And you're right. And it's interesting, Mike, in by nature, but the majority of the people who we're going to talk to at PACX, they're there because they're looking for, they're by nature coming to these shows to and out there. So I think the audience in general is maybe a little bit more solution based, which I think is encouraging for us. But I definitely think, you're right. The idea, what we call the augmented workforce, which is what our topic was, presented, this idea that, that your future workforce is going to be a combination of local contract talent that's be brought in, from a company like ours is going to find it. You're going to have the talent versus just, in some cases, you can't even find the bodies, but sometimes find the bodies, but talent,
Yep.
Whatever that looks like, that it just feels like you're going to have to begin to embrace that reality. If you problem, change is not mandatory. Success is optional. And so, you don't have to. You can keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. It's interesting. As everyone at the event would come to the booth, obviously their eyes are taken to the booth and the signage. They're trying to figure out what exactly does Skillwork do? What do you do? And, a few of them had an idea, but most of them didn't know. And you would just, unpack 30 seconds of high level. Here's what we do. And just that, the mind shift, nobody walked away going, I think that's the right answer. I don't think that's the solution. On the contrary, everyone walked away going, that's a great idea. And that's what we need. And I need to connect you with folks because to your point, the folks who attended the show, they weren't necessarily the person on the line in every facilities. This was the person at a higher level trying to discern the direction of their company. They're doing what they can to be successful going forward. And when you share that with them, I need you to talk to someone. I need to get you in touch with the person because, again, it goes back to the solution thus far has been to look. And when you can't find somebody, just look harder. We're going to work harder to find them. And, some of them are a little slower to adopt. Again, change is optional. That has to change. But the big thinkers, the big companies, the Pack Expo list, it was the who's who of manufacturing, not only in the United States, but when those very large manufacturers come to the booth and they say, this is exactly what's needed. We need an augmented workforce if we're going to move forward. It kind of puts it in perspective when maybe one small facility says, I'm not sure if that's what we want. Keep looking for it.
Well, if you think about, just we all love sports analogy. So, and I'm not going to, but if you're not a very good football team, we're college football season. If you're not a very good college football team because you don't have the talent, you're not going to we'll just work a lot harder and then someone will make the championship. It's not going to happen. If you don't have talent, if you can't recruit the talent onto the team, there's a reason why the same 4 or 5, big name programs continue to win, because they have the talent. And really it's the same kind of idea, if you take it into your lives, telling your HR team, work harder, you got to find a deal with it. It's not going to work because they're working as hard as they can.
Yeah.
They just can't. In their current model, looking, around their facilities, they can't. And we heard that kind of point of this trend that we saw. I walked away from the Pack Expo, feeling like for the first time, our company's a little over 5 years old, that what we always felt when we started Skillwork, this movement towards a different, as you call it, a paradigm shift in the way you're going to find talent, the way you're going to staff your facility, that I felt like we were beginning to see at least more openness to the idea where at the beginning it took a lot of conversation to go, yeah, can you find me local people? And if I could do that, you. And so that trend and that thing. So if you're hearing this for the first time or you're kind of know it, it's that point where at some point things have to, for all of us, where it clicks a little. You go, I gotta think outside the box.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. There's almost like I have compassion when I go visit potential customers, even when I talk to them on the phone, but when I see them in person, because there's this look of exhaustion, frustration, thinking that this is a problem that only they run into. And it's almost kind of like a joke. This isn't your fault. You're not doing anything wrong. This is systemic across every part of U.S. Maine. This isn't something that you're going to solve again by working hard. And thank you for the football analogy. Congratulate you on your team success. But I will say that the teams that will adapt, that will say, okay, I have to make a change, because you can work harder or you can work smarter. And the reality is you have to work smarter to get the right people in place, and you have to work harder. Again, if it goes back to that McKinsey study, if 70% of the facilities are falling behind simply because of it's not because they're not working hard, not because they're not trying, but they didn't fill those jobs and they're going backwards. Whereas everyone else is trying to move. If you can't even stand still and you're regressing 70% of the time, you have to make a change in the success.
Like I said, I think we heard it. It was encouraging. At the same time, it's still kind of a daunting mountain for all of us to climb. I think you throw into that this reality. In some cases, you would think, okay, because of that, these 70% numbers and whatnot. So probably the best thing for us to do is build any more. Can't staff the ones that we have, but because of the global economy and because of post-pandemic issues, the reality is, and we heard this confirmed on a variety of fronts, we are going to build more manufacturing. We have to. We are bringing more semiconductor production back. You're seeing, I think we see it every week, Mike. They're building a new battery plant, or they're breaking ground on a new one somewhere. We work, with some different companies, in call it clean energy space, and they're all growing. I mean, they're building a facility. We won't mention names on here, but they're doubling this, and it's a massive facility as it is.
Yeah. What you're seeing is a generational shift from machine-based assembly line production to smart factories. And if you don't want to do that, that's your competition. That's where you're going. So it's not just a matter, like you said, it's not finding talent. It's not finding workers, well, finding the talent. If you're not willing to make that change and adapt, competition is. And I see it, I'm blessed in my room. I see it every day. I talk to folks every day. Some of them that grasp that, they have success.
Yep. Every tough situation, this goes back to forever, is people that are the most successful are the ones who lean into a problem and are quicker to reach for the solution. I think some of the folks that we had a chance to talk to at PAC Expo, and as you said, Mike, you're out there more than on our team, face to face with clients, we're seeing it. So I'm encouraged by it. I do think the problem is solvable. If you, we're going to be out at PAC Expo East, won't be nearly as big as the national show in Las Vegas, but still a very large show. That's coming up in March. If you're in the East and you want to come and talk to us, we'll be there. You can meet Mike and I in person. We don't look any better in person. We look just like this. And so, but
I have better hair in person.
Oh, you do?
I do.
So, all right, but we'll talk about that. So we really appreciate the time today, Mike. Thanks for coming off the road for long enough to do this. We enjoy getting to come on here and talk into this space. We're passionate about it. Super enjoy it. And so we appreciate your time today. Pray that you would kind of lean into your challenges. We'd love to talk to you. You can always reach out to us. Have a great day and God bless.